This was a treat and a half, to say the least. Movie is called Blind Rage. This is deceptively a Canon film release. Canon didn't make it, but they picked it up as a negative pickup. They show up with a 16mm camera, and then they film you a Shinjuku.
Yeah.
Like for a night.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Then they show up in Hong Kong and film Hong Kong for a day. The real way to describe Blind Rage is it's the Doberman gang. But instead of Dobermans, it's blind guys.
Yeah.
And it follows the entire structure of the Doberman gang. Yeah. Exactly. Until it gets to the last half hour.
When it transforms.
Or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it turns into the killing with blind guys.
Yeah.
Now, that is as great as you ever could have hoped it could be. But here's the thing about Blind Rage is it starts off like a silly plot and it's a silly premise, and maybe they'll have fun with it.
The men actually performing the job are blind.
Blind? No, I know you're nuts.
And that's all I'm expecting it to be. And that's really all it is in the first 20, 25 minutes of the movie. This has that really fun bunch of guys on a mission movie kind of thing. They come up with the idea for, okay, we're going to do a robbery with these blind guys. Well, we have these 5 blind guys in mind. Now, we got to talk them into it. Now, the other thing that's also, special extra bubblegum flavor into this bubblegum is the idea that the guys are fucking badass dudes. I like the fact that, they're blind. And so you also start now you're kind of rooting for them. They make them like these. No, these are bad dudes. These are fucked up killers. The whole thing is a bad dude situation. The plan is mean. These guys are fucking crumbs. All right, they all are coming from a disreputable place. But that makes me love the guys all the more. All right, the fact that they're scoundrels. No, again, it's a trope, all right? Yeah. So it's like, they have a whole list. Here's a photo. There's a photo of Derval Martin. And then it's described what he did, how he lost his sight. And then you see it. You see a whole vignette of Derval Martin losing his eye. Yeah. He made a career as his sidekick, as a pudgy little comic sidekick. Yeah. And the other guys along with that bad Derval Martin, all right, is also Leo Fong. Who wrote the script?
Right.
He wrote this. He wrote the script.
Well.
And if you're an L.A. martial art fan, or California martial art fan, Leo Fong starred in a whole series of movies that he produced himself. He wrote the scripts for. There's the film I saw theatrically, Low Blow. Leo Fong looks like he's supposed to be the most sympathetic of the group. All right?
Yeah.
He wrote the script. But then there's also Tony Farrar, who's in the movie. He's the guy who ends up ratting them out.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the guy when the gang tried to stop him, he shoots his way out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Tony Farrar. He's sort of like the James Bond of the Philippines. And then there's Charlie Davo, who is Rudy. Yeah. So it's an all-star grade Z little cast. But they're a lot of fun. The Matador was one of my favorite guys, too.
Yeah,
the guy with the Fu Manchu mustache.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Good. Yeah. By the way, knowing the first 3 guys you're going to have to watch, we're going to have to watch them get blind.
Yeah.
Right? In a movie that is bursting to the seams with popping eyeballs. That was the most horrific. So you see the photographs of the different guys who are going to be our team and the little vignettes about how they all lost their sight. Then they have to go and approach them all, and then they eventually get them. Then they hire a girl, Layla Hermosa. She's a teacher for the blind, just like the way in the Doberman gang. They hire the girl who knows how to train Dobermans.
Yeah.
Okay, so Charlie Dalvo is the guy who's kind of putting this whole thing together, and he's the one who hires Layla Hermosa to train these blind guys. But part of the thing, though, about the gal who teaches the blind guys is it does seem a little bit like he's going to have to talk her into it. He goes, okay, look, I'd like to hire you. I've got a job for you. Well, what am I going to be doing in this job? Well, you're going to be doing just like you're doing here. You're going to be training a bunch of blind guys to rob a bank. She's like, what? What the? Let me just explain it. Okay. So he starts explaining it. You're not exactly sure if that explanation is enough at that given moment, but apparently it seems to be enough for her, because then almost all the scenes after that scene, after he has to convince her, Not only is she convinced, it seems like she's leading the gang. She completely rises to the occasion. She starts training everybody what they need to do. She has absolutely no qualms whatsoever. If she's torn for any way, you don't get it. I mean, one of the things that's interesting is that Charlie Dabo, part of his thing is to be there all the time, but he never talks. So they don't, he's a silent puppet master, so the blind guys have no clue on him whatsoever. But Leila Hermosa becomes the lead of the movie, seemingly for the first 45 minutes. Yeah. Now, and there's even an interesting thing about her as far as the movie is concerned, because the actress who's playing her is actually quite fun. She has a real twinkle in her eye. Yet, she's being dubbed, and I'm pretty sure that it's not her doing the dubbing. I'm pretty sure it's another actress doing the dubbing. Now, my feeling is this, is the person who's doing the dubbing isn't actually an actress. But that doesn't mean she's bad. She's just not a professional actress. She does an okay job, but she's a little monotone.
Gentlemen, my name is Sally. The boss has invited each of us here for an important job.
Which Leila Hermosa doesn't seem monotone in her delivery. But as time goes on, the dichotomy of the sparkle in Leila Hermosa's eyes and the not bad monotone vocal delivery ends up working. Yeah. At a certain point. It seems off at first.
It seems instructional.
But when she talks so much, she's always she spends the whole first half of the movie just giving one monologue after another to the guys to teach them what they're doing. And she's on their case.
Yeah.
You know, these are bad dudes, all right? She says, no, that's not right. You got to do it like this. Yeah, they have a little balsa wood, a little balsa wood bank. That shot is so good, because that shot clues you in that you've been watching this movie a little bit more than you thought you were.
Yeah.
Because now it's kind of exciting. And they actually do a big shot, an epic move for this cheap movie that shows all the blind guys getting into place in their little practice balsa wood bank. And it kind of just shows it off in this really cool way. And it just also shows that we're kind of keeping up with the movie. We're kind of like following it. And it starts getting exciting. Now, then it comes time to actually do the robbery. And I can honestly say, and I don't think I'm guilty of hyperbole here, look, I love low-grade trashy movies like this. They're a lot of fun, and I don't apologize.
It's your thing.
I don't apologize for it whatsoever. They either pull them off or they're not, and they can be fun, and they can be this, and they can be whatever. Okay. But when the actual robbery started happening, I was far more connected to what was going on in this movie than I am to most
robberies,
cheap, trashy little exploitation movies. I totally gave a fuck. I kind of cared about the guys, even though they're not good guys, but I was interested how the robbery was going to work. I mean, I was plugged in. I was plugged in more than I normally would be to a movie like this. It's actually generally exciting because the whole part of the robbery is they don't want to appear like blind guys. They want to appear as if they're sighted. So no one would think that blind guys were doing this. So their whole thing is to not give away that they're blind. I'm telling you, when it cuts to the bank robbery and the blind guys like actually enter the bank and take their positions, it's thrilling. It's literally like you can't take your eyes off the screen. And you almost are holding your breath. You get really involved with the gang and them pulling off the robbery. Just to see the blind guys now operating with real people and trying to pull off the fact that they're not blind, that they're sighted.
What makes that heist good?
And the fact that it actually works. And then also something weird about this movie that's really kind of unique is there's so many movies where people play blind and they put on glasses and they do this and they do that. These guys who are playing the blind guys, like there is no extra sight for them. They seem like realistic blind people doing it. And actually, I think my guess is the magician is actually really blind.
Right.
That's the one I think is really blind, is the guy playing the magician. It actually is thrilling watching the blind guys during the robbery take their robbery positions. They all got guns, and like obviously they don't have eyes to keep a lookout on anybody, but they're attuned to sound. So if anybody makes a sound that they're not supposed to make, that motherfucker gets shot dead. I mean, we can mention that Fred Williamson shows up as his character Jesse Crowder, who's like he's kind of a skip tracer, is a special guest star performance as Jesse Crowder trying to wrap up the guys at the end. And literally them hiring Fred Williamson is like they already shot an entire Filipino movie, and then they go, look, we need Fred for a weekend. We just need Fred for the weekend, and they come to Los Angeles and shoot that in a weekend or 4 days. But it's well represented in that way that we've mentioned before in other films. It's the grade Z movies. The way they shoot with their big wide, they want to be around big signs. They want to be around big cities, and then you get a sense of the signage of a city. You get and they oftentimes shoot them
street life.
Yeah, in Riverside, or they shoot them in Hollywood. You get a sense of Los Angeles in these movies that you don't get in any other ones. You're able to see a crazy restaurant and read the sign, read the little slogan. You're able to completely read whatever movies are playing on marquees, on the film. We played it back a couple of times. It's all going down at the International House of Pancakes.
It's going down right now at the International House of Pancakes.
At a big kung fu fight on the top of the building that has like the
IHOP.
The IHOP side completely parallel with the horizon. And by the way, I was rooting for Charlie Dabo to win that fight against Jesse Crowder. I'm just saying. As much as I like Big Fred. Yeah. No, we've watched Italian movies where like cut to a model airplane, the plane explodes. No, this is a real plane that they blew up. This movie is such a blast. As much as we loved The One-Armed Executioner, Blind Rage is only just a little tiny bit underneath it. It's not quite as good a movie as The One-Armed Executioner is, but it's definitely as fun, if not even slightly funner. Absolutely. Than One-Armed Executioner. Blind Rage is just a perfect trash movie.